certainly a part of that, but it's it. I've only lived here for about 3.5 years, so I'm just still getting to know New Mexico. But there's a there's a pretty strong support system for entrepreneurs. I'm sure Adam would agree to that.
Lots of entrepreneuring going on. I think that's what you just asked about.
Yeah, I mentioned that there was a strong and robust support system for entrepreneurs.
Yeah, there's a lot of options, like 1 million cups, for instance.
Yeah, I mean, one of New Mexico's challenges is to train and keep talent, because young people have a tendency to leave New Mexico. So there's a really strong effort. I know the university has a strong effort to attract people to come back to New Mexico. But there's no simple explanation for the phenomena that is New Mexico.
There we go. Well, welcome, Gwen and Alan. This is live on YouTube. We got Adam's Friday Flow going on here. Attendees may use social media. Chat will be repasted. Unless you want to like not have it, you can say something about on there. Don't paste this or something. Sometimes I'll pull up the screen. That's notes from last time. This is Norms. Engage a challenge attended a whim. That's specifically interesting because this may be the last time I'm doing this Friday Flow Forum. Connect your biz with your topic. Brag or work it through. I'm not exactly sure why my wording is that way, but I definitely do want you to brag about what you get to do and talk about that. And I aim for low maintenance, and that's why I use these slides and make them happen. So how this may flow, we've got the intro I'm going to do in a moment, then we're going to do attendee greetings and talk about who you are, what you do, and what your big quest is. And I'll talk a little more about quest. It's not the new agey thing. It's more just a big question you're looking for. Post on chat for order. And so you're going to post your intros on the chat, help us figure out who goes first. Open discussion loosely on the topic, and action S at the end. So at the end, think of something that we could do to help you on your quest, something you're really trying to figure out in the next, for about 10 seconds. So welcome to Adam's Friday Flow Forum. Here I am at Comanche Park. I dropped my daughter off with my lovely bike over there. So can I get it? There it is. There's my little my electric bike. And so I'm now heading to a client's place on my way from her classroom or her school, and doing this on the move, which is pretty fun. So we've got here challenge question. Do you see an advantage to experimenting with operations? All right, so this is something I'm going to edit a little bit of. I didn't actually look at anyone's response to these things. So I'm going to get back to this thing here. Edit up a little bit. Okay, so what I didn't do any responses, and I often go back to the meetup. But this morning was an interesting morning. And as I said, I kind of just use this, I'm trying to do things on this screen, and it's making me, I still have the actual thing opened up in the background. And so it's not letting me actually edit this without closing out. Okay, that was interesting. Okay, this is the question. And these are things I'm thinking about have to do with it, but I'm going to take that off of there. Okay, now I'm going to go back to presenting. I push Shift F5 in this program. I think it, because I'm on a laptop, I have to push another extra button. I have to push the function. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to new share, and I'm going to share the screen again. There we go. Bam. Okay. you see an advantage to experimenting with operations of your business? And this is kind of get your brain started there. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And you can kind of talk about that a little bit as you're introducing yourself. When you do introduce yourself, we're going to put in the chat. Whoever posted first in chat will present first, and so on and so forth. If you have a web link, which would be really great, I can share that while we're going. And always use the http:// all this good stuff in front of it. Because unlike a lot of other social media programs, last I knew, Zoom did not have a friendly way of doing that unless you put a whole link in there. So I see Gwen has already posted in the chat, but I'm going to go ahead and post in the chat too. Bam. So that means that I'm going second since, so Gwen, you're all up. I'm glad you figured out your microphone thing. So go ahead and what you're going to do is you're going to introduce yourself. How does your business work? Or whatever you're planning, hoping to do, how do you think it might work? And then what's the big question you're into? And so when I talk about quests, I'm talking about, well, a pretty obvious, common one that's used to talk about this is Albert Einstein wanted to know the relativity continuum thing or whatever. But he never actually figured it out in his life. And so that's not the point, is figuring it out. The thing is, there's something your brain has been trying to figure out for your whole life. And it's been all working up towards that angle. And you want it to be big enough that it's worth continuing to look for. But that's the big swooshy thing for me to say about it. And in the end, most people come back to something like really basic that's kind of just in the near future. And that's okay, I'll roll with it. But you can go ahead and Gwen, come and tell it what you're up to and what your big question is.
Okay, Gwen. I am just exploring opportunities. So I'm just going through iterations, cycles of filtering what I don't want, eliminating things that are not within my strength, and outsourcing it, finding processes to find allies, partners who can do the task. So what is my question?
Well, sounds
well,
like
okay, anyway.
I'll go for it.
Sorry?
So it sounds like you may have already said that, what you thought was, but maybe you do realize there's a bigger question that you're after.
Well, I am constantly trying to make my business more efficient, finding innovative ways to streamline the process, to make it quicker or more quality. So it's just like some of the project management ideas, managing time, resources, and outcomes.
Okay. Thanks. Gwen, I'm going to go ahead and, so the next person on here is myself because I went and posted. And then after that, John posted. And Alan, then just say hi on there or whatever, contact. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my web link here that I've got. And see, it hasn't quite updated, but that's okay. I'm going to escape out of that and change up my share so I'm showing my screen that I want to show. All right, so I'm Adam with Sparks Flow, a nice company that my wife and I came up with, and I organize people so they can get done what they want to get done. You've got ideas, and I help them make them happen. So this is the website. I said this the past couple months, like I should get more reviews that are more up to date. That's one of the things on my to-do list, which is one of the reasons why I'm also planning, even though I've been doing this since, well, they don't have the earliest one on here, but I've been doing this since the beginning of the pandemic. And the reason I really started this this discussion forum was because all the other activities had shut down. And this is how I really get to know more about my business and know about other people and what they were looking for. And so for that all to shut down, I was thinking I could wait until someone else opened up some program and did something, or I could go ahead and do my own. And Eric Renz Whitmore has been a big part of helping, as Alan talked about, a lot of helping entrepreneurs make a big splash here and all that kind of support. And so he supported me in making this happen. And so I said, okay, I'll go ahead and give it a go. And it's been fun. I've really enjoyed it. I've gotten a lot out of it, but I'm also thinking that some of the rough corners of it and stuff I thought would smooth out eventually. And as you can see, like with my presentation and stuff, I'm happy to share the background stuff and me fixing it up. But I've realized that I haven't really gotten it to the point where I feel like I'm mastering it and really doing a really, like, I feel like I'm really sharp on there and reaching out to people the way I want to. I've enjoyed the conversations. They're really great talking to people, but I'm going to give this thing a break for a little bit. So thanks for coming back, John. Good to see you again. But I'm probably going to let it go for a little bit. And if it comes back, I'm not sure it's going to be on Fridays. So I've been calling it a flow forum. And so it might be on Mondays. It might be once a month instead of every week. We'll see. But at the moment, I'm going to give it a rest and try and get some other things like more in line. And so when I come back, I'll be more masterful at what I'm doing. Like the thing about mastering something is you're never actually done mastering it. But there's a certain level of like, I realize that I'm sort of shoving this in the corner on Fridays and just kind of like scrambling right before it. And that's not how I want to do it. It'd be really cool if I was preparing it like a couple days ahead of time and then like limiting myself and how much time I spend on it. So I don't continue to expand and make it more complicated. But those are like little things I'm learning myself and I'm experimenting with my own business. And so that's one of the reasons we're doing this topic today is about experimenting with your business and the benefits it can have. Because it really helps you take a different angle on stuff. And it's a lot more lighthearted, I find. All right, so that's my big quest is how can I collaborate with others on this big mystery that we are traveling through here and organizing and making things happen like your business or in your home. Those are the things that I get to do. So that's one of the ways that I'm seeking out that answer of like, what in the world am I doing? And how do we get to do this together? And I often see it kind of as a big playground. So it's pretty cool. John, you're up. I'm going to go ahead and switch out of this thing. So I'm going to stop the share since you don't have a website. All right, John, would you introduce yourself, please?
Hi. Let's see. There we go. I still haven't got my microphone fixed, so I have to hold it up here. Hi, I'm John Barney. I am a retired electronics technician / engineer. Been around for a long time, and I'm struggling with trying to figure out what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. I had a lot of fun the last couple of weeks. I ran across an artist who needed an Arduino project, which if you're not familiar with it is a little small microcontroller. And of course, by the time he called me, he was already late with his project and had to be done, instantly and all of that. And we managed to struggle through it. We got the hardware done, but I'll have to admit that I had a problem with the software, and he managed to find an additional person to come in and finish up the software. But it was a fun project, and I realized that that's really the kind of stuff that I like to do. I like to take new projects and turn them into something real. And so my big quest is to figure out, is there something in the world where I can do that? The exact salary isn't important to me anymore, but the fun and the exciting kind of work is what's important. So that's what I'm looking for.
That's cool. Yeah, Arduinos are fun. I say that solely as a third person because I've never actually used one myself, but I've used similar things to Arduinos. And again, much like how I've approached this, it's been more of an idea, and I dabbled in it, and then I moved on. So I'm going to focus more on mastery and stuff. But that's really cool. I'm glad to hear that. I want to hear more about that in a moment. So
Yeah.
the next person up is Alan.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Alan Ramos, and I'm also retired. I've had 6 careers, including practicing law, acting, consulting, association management, corporate operations, and I'm kind of enjoying living a virtually stress-free life right now. I occasionally mentor. I enjoy that. I have no interest in earning any money. I live a fairly simple, comfortable life, and so I don't have any of those pressures. My most recent mentorship was my daughter, who just completed a certificate program at the University of Texas in product management. And I really enjoyed working with her because I got to see what an incredible creative mind she has. And I found it thoroughly enjoyable. In terms of a quest, I mean, the word that I use to describe my life is serendipity, because I've never had a plan. I mean, I started law school when I was 49. Never planned to practice law, but through serendipity, decided to practice law. Did that for 17 years. But in the core of it is just kind of an intense curiosity that I have, and I really enjoy the dynamic of learning. You know, the old adage is you learn something new every day. Well, it's true. Now, there are people out there, and George Bernard Shaw described them as invincibly ignorant. I think they deflect knowledge pretty successfully. And I don't consider myself one of those folks. I just enjoy the process of learning. And that really connects well with mentorship, because it assumes that someone's willing to listen. If someone's willing to listen, then I'm willing to spend however much time they may need of me to help them go where they're going. So that's kind of what I'm doing with my life right now. It's simple and it's quiet, and I enjoy it. Gwen, I do have a question for you. I didn't get what your business is. I don't understand what the business you're in.
That's a great question. You're asking me?
No, I asked you, Gwen.
Oh, Gwen. Yeah.
I would classify it as sustainability. So it's triple bottom line, planets, people, and profit, which makes it more difficult than just a traditional business where you only focus on profit, because I have to focus on fair labor and environmental sustainability, or lack of external pollution and all those things. So that makes it more yeah, so that's where I'm stuck at times, is trying to integrate all 3, and maybe I just focus on just being profitable. That's the easiest thing to do.
So my offer to you is if you would like sometime to have some conversation,
Yes.
I think I might have some thoughts for you to help you focus.
Okay.
And Adam mentioned Million Cups. Are you familiar with 1 Million Cups?
Yes. Yes.
Ha-
We have it locally too. Yeah.
Where are you?
In Silicon Valley,
Okay.
California. Sorry. San Francisco Bay.
Yeah, no, I lived most of my life there, so I'm pretty familiar with it. Anyway, my email's in the chat, so if you're
Okay.
interested, you can reach out to me.
Okay. Thank
Yeah,
you.
Alan's a great resource for finding out about things like that. So this is another idea too, Gwen, is the Green Chamber of Commerce. Now you might have one in your own area. Have you ever heard of these guys?
I've never heard of it.
Yes. We also have every year we have social capital, which brings in about 2,000 investors, but it hasn't been happening because of the pandemic. But yeah, and also some other local resources.
So tell me what you mean by social capital.
It's bringing people who are wanting to do a sustainable business with fair labor practices and um, um, and business models where the worker is committed to the profit and longevity of the business, especially like worker cooperatives. They're both owner and worker of the business, so they have a um, investment in the long term to keep the business profitable and sustainable in terms of like worker morale and connected and engagement. Because in most of the traditional businesses, majority of the workers are disconnected or emotionally disengaged with the company, and so they're just like their physical body's there, but they're not emotionally full commitment.
That's cool. So it's sort of like it's kind of like NSF for businesses, National Science Foundation for businesses.
Mm.
Is that kind of how you explain it, or?
Mm.
They come up with a lot of money or something, or a contact, or what? How does that work?
It's a combination. You need an ecosystem. There's not just one factor.
IP, experiments. Hey, look, experiments. That's the topic today. Isn't that cool? I'm pretty happy about that. Just popped up right there. IP and experiments that allow us to learn about these problems deeply. Identifies hard problems and assembles experts. That's pretty cool. Experiments that allow us to learn about these problems deeply. That's pretty cool. Once we have conviction about a solution, we'll then execute by building, buying, investing in whatever it takes to solve the problem we identified. And better serve people, building the companies. We are building a new kind of organization. Social capital invests from a balance sheet of permanent capital to fuel entrepreneurship in all stages. So this is interesting. You talk about sustainability too, and I've mentioned it before, but you've heard of permaculture? Alan, have you heard of permaculture?
Yes,
No.
I have.
I haven't.
Okay. John, have you heard of permaculture?
I've heard the term. I won't say that I understand it.
I like that. That's a great response. All right. So Gwen, tell us about what you know about permaculture, would you? Or do you? Maybe. Okay. So permaculture, from my understanding, so the permaculture is a lot about making agriculture more permanent, which is why I'm seeing this word here. It says permanent capital, which is an interesting thing to talk about. A balance sheet of permanent capital. And I'm really not sure what they mean there, but it makes me think of permaculture, which is permanent agriculture. So it's an idea that instead of just using the land and reaping from it, whatever, and then sending it off by throwing a bunch of chemicals in it and all that, and not really paying attention to the longer term effect of what you're doing to the land. Permaculture focuses on what am I doing to this land that'll make it permanently useful, like continuing to give back to the community, give back to people, give back to the environment. And it's kind of that triple bottom line thing of that she was talking about of people, planet, and profit. Of course, permaculture isn't about profit in itself, even though people use it. So I wonder how much that's connected to this, to fuel entrepreneurship at all stages, all over the world, so that we can partner with entrepreneurs for as long as it takes. We leverage data and machine building. We leverage data and machine learning to build great companies and help them option. This is really specific. That's helpful. So they are using data and machine learning to drive term success. That's cool. So, Gwen, you say they're not really doing much now.
Oh, okay. This is my button. Okay.
Ah.
Well, it's more difficult. Well, they are doing it. There's a greater need because there's a north and south divide. The north, which is more of like Europe and the Americas have the capital money, whereas the southern below the equator are suffering with the COVID pandemic. They don't have the vaccines. Their industries are disrupted.
So they're pretty busy.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
they're busy surviving right
Yes.
Yeah.
now. And, if you think about, I think it's Maslow's hierarchy of need. If you don't have food and shelter and health, it's pretty hard to think about lofty ideals. And that's where a lot of those populations are unfortunately stuck. They're just stuck in survival mode.
Maslow. So the thing, yeah. So the brain has got two parts. One is the wanting, and the other one is surviving. And if surviving will always win out if there's a battle between the two needs and wants. So yeah, if they're barely surviving, that's going to be less creativity, like what they're accustomed to talking about. It's kind of fun. So, so you haven't heard of Green Chamber of Commerce, though, huh? So this is the reason I mention it is because Gwen, you're trying to figure out some different places, and John, this might be really handy to you because you talked about possibly doing some biotech or some programming with people on. I think you were talking about that. There was some folks talking about, or maybe it was just there was someone else on talking about it, and you were talking about how you could work with them. But they were talking about growing stuff. But making things more green, there's some really cool technology we could put in there, kind of like social capitalism probably is doing. But there's one in Las Cruces, there's one in Santa Fe. And when I was working on a sustainable home with UNM, there was Solar Decathlon, which was making these solar homes. And then you would present them, these different colleges would present them at a big display in Washington or California, or wherever the competition was being hosted that year. And the Green Chamber of Commerce came in and talked to us there. And at that point, it was, his name was Alan. I don't want to say Alan Green, but I don't think that's his real name. I forget what it was. But I wonder if there was ever one in Albuquerque, if he was just visiting from Santa Fe, or if Santa Fe covers it. So chapters, Chamber News, contact us. So this might be recent posts. 62 New Mexico business call on Congress to renew a fully fund land and water conservation fund. Press release, New Mexico Green, Chamber of Commerce. Thanks, Mike Boots, for your support New Mexico National Monuments. Okay. Trying to see if they have any activities going on. So this one, the Green Santa Fe Chamber of Commerce has their own index of last modified size description. This is not very promising, this website here. I wonder if they're going through a similar problem and aren't really doing anything. Okay, I don't think I have a back button on here. The light is really messing with my ability to see my buttons because this backlighting of a sun is huge. Okay, I think I can probably have to find where my Green Chamber of Commerce is. I think I might have gone past it.
Adam, I think everybody is having troubles with this COVID stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm gonna go back if I can. Can't tell if my button will let me go back or not. You can see my screen better than I can, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so it appears that Santa Fe Green Chamber of Commerce isn't helping. I am having a hard time finding it. Sparks Flow, Arduino, Index. So what I'll probably need to do here is go ahead and look up Green Chamber of Commerce again. That's interesting. So this is my idea, was that they'd be able to be someone that you can contact and talk about ideas and ways to continue your three what did you call it? 3 bottom lines, 3-point bottom line. Our mission, our vision. Chamber of Commerce have been an interesting thing to me. I didn't know much about them until I joined one last year. I joined the Hispano Chamber of Commerce, and I found out that they are not quite as as what I had thought they were going to be. I thought they were like, you know, some established thing in the government, and they're not. They are a freestanding kind of thing. Maybe some of you guys could tell me more about what the Chamber of Commerce are.
Well, I think I've spent some years on the board of directors of the Chamber of Commerce, a small city in the Bay Area.
Oh, wow.
And it's kind of a business and political amalgam. Their missions typically are to promote the business within that community. So, for instance, the Hispano Chamber of Commerce is to promote Hispanic business within Albuquerque primarily. But they all kind of vary depending upon the culture of the area, I think. And you usually in a Chamber of Commerce, most of the entrenched power base participates. It's a great networking opportunity, but you have to participate. So just being a member, I think, is of little or no value.
And that brings up another reason why I'm planning to let this Flow Forum kind of take a rest for a bit, is because I have done almost nothing with Chamber of Commerce, other than, you know, host the show and talk to them on here a little bit. So that's something else. By letting go of this, I might have time to go ahead and jump into that. That's a good point. But yeah, getting involved with it is what really makes a difference.
Yeah, one of my mentors is my third wife, who happens to be one of the smartest people I know and who happens to be a very dear friend. She taught me this fundamental truth that it just belonging to any organization is of little or no value. That you actually have to invest time and energy and participate. And that's how you get value. So you have to
Yeah.
put energy into it to get anything out of it. And it's also, she taught me how to network, and networking is about building relationships. It's
Yeah.
not about selling your service or your product or whatever.
Yeah.
It's getting to know people.
I like it, which is one of the reasons I have liked Flowform. And because this has been it's usually been pretty intimate, and we've had a time to sort of talk and discuss things. And I haven't promoted it as far as trying to angle for the types of, family businesses or whatever that I hoped I would work with, or green businesses, as Gwen talks about. But I realized if I'm going to do that, that I need to, that would be even more investment of time. Whereas I can create pretty intimate relationships by just calling people up and talking to them in person, or finding a time to get together, or online, whether it be online or in person. And it's been pretty neat to have this time. But yeah, like you said, it's the personal contact you have with folks. Business recycle a higher percentage of profits. Business keep taxes. That's cool. I kind of hoped they would have some sort of activities going on. So to contact them, it just gives you the same as the chapters, which is funny. But this is a possibility.
Hey, Adam, there's your opportunity.
What's that?
Help them get something going.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. I already belong to the Hispano Chamber of Commerce. So I actually was thinking about these guys this morning and thinking maybe I'd try them out, because that's really kind of an angle I go with. Get them, yeah. So how would you think that would happen, John? How would you or I be able to help the Green Chamber of Commerce out? What's an experiment we could try?
If I were so smart, I haven't quite figured out what I'm going to do. It's so much easier to tell somebody else, here's an opportunity for you, than to figure it out for yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm still struggling with spending time learning new technology stuff and getting adjusted to new living conditions, because our place where we used to rent decided to sell the house, which incidentally, before we'd really gotten moved out, they already had the house sold. So, I can't argue their good business sense. I just put a lot of emphasis or a lot of work for our family. Well, we're getting settled down, and our daughter's back in school, and so we're doing okay. No, I don't have a great solution for you.
Yeah. Well, I've got the other thing is my business is doing well. So and that's the reason I used to be host with 1 Million Cups, and I decided to let go of that and then focus on this, since this was, I was the only one running it. And so what I might do is I might go back to 1 Million Cups and help with the organizing of that again, bringing in new clients. Because the cool thing is I wasn't just doing it for myself. That is, going out and finding new business owners or people who want organizing or something. Is I was finding people and offering them something that could be really, help them along their way, presenting to another group of folks, the 1 Million Cups folks. So whereas over here, I've kind of become isolated from a lot of that 1 Million Cups activities. And because again, I just sort of squished it into a corner. And so I think 1 Million Cups did a really good job of tying a lot of things together. And people feeling like they're connected. I think that was pretty neat.
So I might, I might suggest a strategy for you with
Sure.
regard to the Green Chamber of Commerce.
I like experiments.
Is to join it and then learn about it. Take it very slow. Don't, if you walk in the door with the idea that I'm going to save you, that's probably not going to make anyone smile.
No.
But if you walk in the door and you say, how can I help you? What can I do to assist? What needs do you have that I might be able to fill? And let people get to know you. And in that process, you'll find out, what needs they have. And I think what happens is those opportunities tend to reveal themselves, but they don't reveal themselves immediately, because what you're essentially suggesting is, I'm looking for a weakness that you have that I can strengthen. And,
Yeah.
and people tend not to want to exploit or just tell you about
Expose.
their weaknesses out the door. So, but if you take a little bit of time and invest that time in getting to know them, then you'll find, like I said, I'm almost guaranteed that would reveal itself, and then you can volunteer to help fill that need.
Great. So, Alan, what's the quest you're on right now? Serendipity. So you're just sort of things coming up. What's the experiment you're thinking about trying next?
Well, I was intrigued with the topic primarily because I've successfully experimented in the past.
Oh,
And I mean, one of the first things I started, the first probably entrepreneurial effort I made was I started a theater company. And the only thing I had going for me was naivete, as I really didn't realize, because people told me, what you're doing is not even possible. Well, the company lasted 30 years. I mean, it lasted long beyond me. And what I got from that was the courage of not letting my ignorance or my naivete hold me back. That if I felt I had an idea that I should just, at least give it a shot, try it out. Hello, Phil. And the worst thing that could happen is I could fail. And if I failed, I knew I would get some great learning and probably know not to do it again. But by giving yourself that license to experiment, you create an opportunity for success. And I found my true talent. My true talent was Tom Sawyer. I got a whole bunch of people come to help me paint the fence. And because a theater is a truly collaborative art. And I was able to attract and talk people into buying into my dream and create this thing out of totally whole cloth. I had no money. And again, it lasted for 30 years. So I think it was of some value to the community. But that was the great learning experiment of my life. And I created other businesses since then. And then within those businesses, experimented with doing some things that I had never thought of before. In fact, some of the things that I did, wasn't even my idea. They were ideas of other people in the organization. But just to get into that dynamic of being willing to experiment, of being willing to do new things is really exciting. It could also be terrorizing, but it certainly can. It's not dull. That's the one thing I found out.
yeah. Okay, so you don't have an experiment you're planning to do now. You're just thinking about the things in the past.
No, as I said earlier, I'm open to to new things that come by my eyesight. And I'm not aggressively pursuing anything because I worked in very high stress professions, and I thought I needed that, and I really found out that I love living the stress-free life. It's a great place to be, and so I'm not looking for anything in particular. But if and it's particularly mentorship opportunities that I'm looking for, but I'm not looking very hard.
Has Phil told you about the mentorship things he's gotten into?
Oh yeah, Phil and I have had lots of conversations, and we've worked together on a couple of projects, and I enjoy working with Phil because I enjoy his mind.
Great.
So yeah, Phil, I'm not after your body. I just want your mind.
Morning, Phil. So John, did you know that Phil has recently published his book that he was talking about before?
No, I didn't know that he. It's been a month or so since I've been here, so.
I know.
And I could give you a story of experimentation
Yeah.
that relates to that Arduino. Now, this is way away from some of these advanced projects that people are talking about, but part of this project was to measure the depth of water in a pond on a rock. Now, you couldn't find any good data on how well ultrasonic, and we had to do ultrasonic for other reasons, would reflect off of water. So I put together the first software, and of course, this place has to be located a long way from Albuquerque, and so when we first started, it turned out that you get different kinds of reflections off the water. And in order to make the software work, you had to average stuff. Well, that's a kind of experiment. I could have done all the research in the world and would not have found that that's what was going to actually happen in this case. And so there's a case where experimentation, and I'm embarrassed to say that it was somebody else, but fortunately they had a laptop and were located in Santa Fe, so they could do the research that I couldn't do. And now it works and it does what it's supposed to do.
That's cool. So I'm a little curious too about this. You're talking about you were working with an artist and putting something together. How did you find this artist? What experiment led you to finding this person? Was it accidental?
I looked on Craigslist, and here was this crazy little thing. I need somebody to do something with Arduino. And I said, well, Arduino, I think I've heard of that. And I looked at it a little further and I said, yeah, that's something I could do. And in fact, I did make significant contributions to it. And along the way, I learned a lot about Arduino. And I can tell you, and you probably have learned this, while it looks really simple when you first start looking into it, it's not as trivial maybe as you think it would be, because it's aimed a lot at hobbyists and early earners. And of course, by necessity, those people don't get into the details, the deep depths of it. So fun project. I learned a whole lot. In fact, I'm going to do some more. I decided to build a hand-built breadboard because of the time schedule, and I won't do that again. I will do a printed circuit board. You know, you can get a printed circuit board now for $5 to $10. I mean,
wow.
It's bloody amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're willing to take time to get it shipped to you from China, actually the cost, the actual cost of the printed circuit board is $2 to $3. The transportation cost is $20. So
that's funny.
yeah.
Well, and
And
if
these
you
are high quality printed circuit boards.
that's cool. So you had Arduino printed, or you had something that worked with the Arduino?
Well, the Arduino had to talk to a couple of ultrasonic sensors, a real-time clock, a temperature humidity sensor, and had to take its power from a solar cell. So outside of the Arduino, there was a moderate amount of external circuitry. And so I first looked at it and said, well, the guy wants this done in 3 days. There's no way I'm going to get a printed circuit board done. So I did get a hand-built one, which again, I don't recommend because as it's been 15, 20 years since I did any real hand soldering. And frankly, the quality of my handwork wasn't what I would consider mil spec.
Well, if it wasn't pretty and it still worked and it was covered up sometime, it didn't matter.
Yes, it was covered up. Thank goodness.
Well, thank you. So we're down to the last minutes of the show. So we're going to go and with your quest, what's something we can do in 10 seconds to help you with your quest? And we'll go in the order that we started. So Gwen, what's something we could do in 10 seconds that would help you with your quest? And this could be a variety of different things. I'll bring back up my screen here with prompts to kind of help you with it. So there could be all kinds of things that we could do with this. And here we are. There we are. 10 seconds. Examples are like a page that you have or learn about something. So we're able to like share that with you and send that information to you or something. But yeah, what are some ideas that we could do, something in 10 seconds we could do to help you, Gwen? There you are.
Well, recommend some people maybe on LinkedIn who have worker cooperatives or more of labor-intensive industries.
Okay, so tell me just a little bit more about that, because so labor-intensive industries in Albuquerque or anywhere?
Anywhere in the USA.
And why labor-intensive?
Because it's venture capital tends to not invest in worker cooperatives. They invest in products and more of tangible things, or maybe of software, but not into human
Services.
labor capital.
So when you say labor intensive, you mean like services or something like that where people are interacting?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm trying to think if there's anything. Nothing on the top of my head at the moment, but aside from like, Roadrunner Food Bank or something like that, but you could check in there. All right. The next person is myself, but I've already got my 10-second ask, which is for you to hear yours. So the next person up is John.
Okay, I'd like to get to know somebody who has a business that electronics is maybe the secondary part of it, but needs some guidance to get some hardware or software or both together to make his product work. And that's an area where I could be a pretty good mentor for. So Alan, I understand your desire to do mentoring. It's about time that that I teach some new dogs old tricks.
So tell me that again from the beginning.
Okay, I'm looking for some opportunities where the need for electronics is known, but maybe they don't have the skill set for that, where I could contribute to making that something turn into reality.
All right. So knowing someone who's got some technical thing, so connecting someone again. Good.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. And then Alan?
Well, John just touched on an interesting subject, and that's being able to pass along wisdom. Unfortunately, John, we live in a culture that doesn't value experience and age. Asian cultures tend to understand that when you spent, I mean, for me, I've spent 75 years on the planet, and I've learned a lot of things. And Asian cultures tend to encourage people to pass that, what passes for wisdom, along to others. Our culture tends to want to think that, well, you're old, you don't understand because things have changed. And what we learned is that the more things change, the more they stay the same. The technologies change, but the core issues haven't. And so, like I said, I don't have a burning quest, but I'm open to mentoring people who are willing to listen. And I'm not going to aggressively go look for them because I'm investing my time and energy, and I only want to invest my time and energy in someone who's willing to participate in that dynamic. So if you know someone who you think might fit that bill, pass them along to me, and I'll have some conversation with them. Other than that, I'm just kind of enjoying being able to continue to draw breath.
Cool. And so Gwen already, she's looking for more answers. It might be kind of fun to talk.
She reached out to me. She
That's
sent
great.
me an email.
Phil.
I think what I would like is, does anybody know how I can get an interview on local radio or internet radio to discuss my book? I think it would be a good subject for, I don't know, kind of a business program. And so I'm trying to look around at the moment to see what's available from organisations on internet radio. But also, I'm thinking, why not go with the local radios? I don't know. I don't go to too many local radio stations apart from NPR. But contacts that would give me something along those lines.
Yeah. So there's a lot of, in NAPO, which is National Association for Professional Organizers, they give a lot of advice and possibilities. There is actual channels online that I wouldn't be able to tell you in the next minute or so. But there's like, you know, if they're looking for an idea, you sort of create a pitch and you give it to this database, something like Reporters, Help a Reporter Out kind of thing, or I can't remember the name of it, but I could look that up. That's a possibility. And of course, obviously, calling them up and saying, hey, how do you guys usually get stories? Have you done that yet?
No, I've had communication this week with a company, but who organised a Zoom call with me yesterday and then didn't turn up. So,
oh, man.
I thought that was a little bit off. I mean, if you want to cancel, I'm okay with that. Just let me know.
So also, I know Miriam Ortiz Pino. She does a show, or she used to do a show on the radio pretty consistently. And
yeah, you're right. I remember from 1 Million. She did say that, didn't she? Yeah.
Yeah, you could check into that. It's a possibility. So those are a couple ideas. Has anyone else done anything with the local radio or TV? Well, thank you guys for coming today. This is not next week topics because I don't have it. Oh, by the way, so Phil, this is probably the last time I'm doing the show. If you want, we could do one up about your book. We talked about doing that before, and then we didn't follow up on that. So we could do one in the future. But at this point, this is the last scheduled flow forum that I have. And so you weren't here for me discussing that, but We could possibly do another one if you wanted to kind of practice your presentation. Happy to do that, and we could send that out there and like mention that 1 million cups and the likes and do that up. So that's another possibility for getting your book story out there. Thank you guys for sparking some ideas with me and willing to go through this experiment that I've enjoyed.
Thanks. Hey, Phil, I have one thought for you. You might reach out to the New Mexico Society of Association Executives because you might find speaking opportunities through them. That because associations are always looking for speakers, and that might be a good opportunity for you. It's
Okay, excellent.
NMSAE.
Okay,
And thank you, Adam, for all your time and effort. Appreciate it.
My privilege. Thank you, John.
Yeah,
I'll
look
look
forward to
seeing you
your next iteration.
Yeah, it'll be cool.
Hey, you know my email address. Let me know.
There you go. Thanks, John.
see you guys.
John? Thanks, Phil. Thank you, Gwen. That's pretty cool. And I guess we'll wrap that up. Oh, I wanted to post these things here. But I guess that won't be this time.